Hi, welcome to CountyWorks Pro's latest webinar, Unlocking the Power of AI Chatbots in Tax and Accounting. My name is Lee Reams. I'm the founder and CEO of CountyWorks and TaxBuzz AI. I've been working in the tax and accounting space for many decades, and I've been working on digitizing client experiences for probably the last 10 years as well with our new products in CountyWorks Pro. I'm joined today by our Chief Visibility Officer, Rebekah Barton. If you could say hello real quick.
Hi, everyone. So excited to be here today.
Yeah, and the reason we're talking about AI, it's obviously been a huge topic in the media. There's all kinds of narratives going on right now in the tax and accounting space. I think one of the biggest issues, obviously, is the huge shortage of accountants and tax pros as the wave of boomers has started I guess, the great retirement wave, so to speak. And there's just not enough people to fill all these spots. So the industry is kind of at an impasse, so to speak. It's like, how do current professionals run their practices? What are some of the tools they can use? And as a software vendor, and the way CountyWorks Pro looks at this is, how can we make you more efficient? We have a campaign going right now called Save the Weekend, and the idea is, hey, there is new technology, and AI is behind most of this, that you literally could save 2, 4, 6 hours a day if you're utilizing some of the things we're going to talk about today. So I think one of the core items, we have four kind of talking points here, but one is the embracing change side. And I think it's important. I still hear, professionals, I won't use it. I won't let it get to a hold of my data. I don't want it to train on my data. I don't trust it, things like that. And the reality is, well, there's lots of technology that you have your own little bucket, right? So your client data is your client data. AI isn't going to necessarily train on it, but it's going to use it as context to be able to answer questions about different client profiles. So it's a big deal there. What else can it do? It can boost your efficiency. It'll help you automate routine tasks. It can help extract data from client uploads. It can help you do tax research, tax plans, a lot of things, writing emails to clients all day long. And this really can literally save you hours daily, enhancing your productivity. And more importantly, I think it can drive economic growth. We have a lot of different tools that we've created that if you're utilizing the tools that we have, you're going to be able to actually monetize this. We have some AI agents that you could proactively push out to your client base with questions, hey, get a free tax planning report, not a free one. Let's say it's $495 or $795. And we have a process that includes kind of a little intake form, perhaps scanning some of your client documents, and it will come back and create a customized tax planning strategy for you. That's a way to drive some economic growth. And more importantly, if you're more efficient, you probably can charge more, right? And in addition, it empowers professionals. So what we're going to talk today is all the different ways to use it, some of the best practices, the pros and cons. We're going to talk about the difference between AI and Google, so you understand that. And then hopefully by the end of this presentation, you will feel much more comfortable utilizing AI in your own practice. So let's start. I do this as kind of an AI one-on-one side. Rebekah, I get feedback from our customer success team all the time. What do you think out of our client base, what percentage are actually understanding AI versus just really, they have just no clue and they're not even sure where to start?
I would honestly say maybe 20% of them truly get it and really understand the purpose of AI and how to use it effectively. And then maybe another, 20% are interested in it and have basic knowledge. But then I think beyond that, over half really have no idea. So it's really important to understand because it can be so helpful.
And what's nice is the 20% that do get it are using it all day long. We see people, 30, 40, 50 prompts a day, questions going through our system. So it becomes very valuable, obviously, to the way they're doing business. So let's talk about it. Artificial intelligence, what is it? So this is really important. It is a simulation of human intelligence, okay? It's programmed to think like a human and mimic your actions. So in the context of tax and accounting, AI is designed to automate processes, analyze data at scale, and provide intelligent insights, enhancing accuracy and decision-making. So basically, think of it as kind of a virtual assistant. So if you can now scale and have a virtual assistant, a practice assistant that is knowledgeable in the tax code, knowledgeable in accounting processes, and can now be there to do a lot of the I call the heavy lifting or the tasking, and you're more the human in the loop to analyze what the AI has created and then share that with clients. You're going to be much more efficient. So when you're talking to an AI chatbot or utilizing any AI tool, remember it's designed to think in natural language. Okay. And then I'm going to get into a couple things here. There's generative versus predictive, and the generative side is literally just having a conversation with the AI. So I am able to, ask it a question and it will give me an answer. And if you speak to it like a human, meaning the more sophisticated your language, the better instructions you're giving, you're going to get better outputs. So if you treat it like a 2-year-old, you're going to get 2-year-old answers. If you treat it like a PhD or a CPA or an enrolled agent, you're going to get really high level things. Versus predictive technology is more of, that's where you build out models. So you put in a bunch of data and you try to find trends. Maybe you can identify which clients need to save for their children's education based on some attributes in their database. So that's just an example. And that's how predictive stuff will work. So there's two different ways. Generative is kind of what you're used to. Predictive is going to be when people talk about building models. And another one might be they analyze the traffic to your website and say, these people are coming to you and visiting your site more often. Perhaps you should reach out to them for different types of services. So machine learning is the ability to teach the system, the tech, based on data that has been processed, and it's basically learning each task, right? And then the natural language processing is where I'm talking about. It's interpreting and understanding the human language. And this is where if you get really good at this and you don't sit there and go, oh, well, I have to write it a specific way. If you're a little more free flowing when you're writing things, I think you're going to find some better outputs. So why does this all matter for tax and accounting? AI can handle tasks ranging from data entry, extracting data, right, and analysis, to client communication, advisory services, transforming traditional workflows into more efficient, accurate, and profitable operations. So we wanted to talk a little bit about the differences between ChatGPT and Google, and I think this is important. And Rebekah, you can kind of go through this a little bit, but I think a lot of people think of it as Google, where they're just typing in a query versus asking it to do something. And, how do you advise our clients on kind of how to get the most out of it versus, the traditional way of I'm just searching for a link and now I click on a link and go visit it?
Yeah, so I often tell them to literally think of it as a tax assistant. Like you went out, you hired someone, they're sitting next to you, and you're saying, hey, will you do this task for me? As opposed to Google, where, like you said, you're maybe doing research manually, you're opening a bunch of tabs, you're trying to find an answer to something, and you're going down a rabbit hole of, Wikipedia and the IRS and maybe like a legal website, whatever it may be. So I tell people to think of AI as a true assistant because it can go to the web and do that research on your behalf, as opposed to Google, which is going to give you the resources you need to do the research yourself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and that goes straight to the first bullet point we have. So interactivity and personalization. Google provides a list of links that and now Google's doing kind of some answers. They're putting AI into their answer queries as well. But basically, a lot of this is relying on you as a user to navigate and interpret these results versus ChatGPT, a tool like ChatGPT, will actually go in there and allow you to converse with the tool and kind of walk it through what you're looking for, right? So based on what you've asked, it's going to change the answers and the outputs of the conversation. So that's number one, information presentation. ChatGPT can actually write you a full letter, right? Versus, Google's just going to index and rank web pages based on popularity and their algorithm. What I've noticed, unfortunately, with Google lately is, it's just the top brands over and over again. It's very difficult for a small brand to get their information out there. And that doesn't mean that they don't know what they're talking about. So when it comes to tax and accounting issues, as you've seen, mainstream media writing about tax issues and how many errors they have and they miss different strategies. I think ChatGPT is a game changer as far as that goes. Learning and adaptation, ChatGPT, both actually get taught because the algorithm changes for Google, but that's humans interpreting what people are doing and then deciding, hey, this is where we're going to change some things. ChatGPT, you get a lot of feedback from users saying, hey, this is right, this is not. And then it kind of can improve upon itself from there. purpose and use cases best suited for educational explanations, brainstorming, generating content, and interactive learning. What I think is interesting is people don't think of it as a brainstorming tool, meaning you can, hey, come up with some concepts or topics for a newsletter article I want to write for restaurants, and it will, come up with 10 or so different topics, and then you can take that output and then actually write a blog article through these type of tools, right? So real-time information. Google will be better for that as of now. A lot of these AI tools are getting better, but most likely they're still trained off the last update. So specifically in the tax and accounting code side, you could have, the last output might have been 8 months old, 9 months old, a year old, 6 months old, whatever. So it's just not going to be as accurate versus Google will have more real-time stuff, news articles, things like that. So this is kind of, we went through this, but how AI works, they have the machine learning. So at its core, machine learning uses algorithms to parse data, learn from it. And what's beautiful about this, it can do this extremely quickly, right? And that's kind of the beauty of it. So if you have any financial data source or any database or knowledge library, and you can add that as context, it can predict future trends. It can identify anomalies. It can do suggestions based on comparing different income statements to each other. It can automate data entry. So there's a lot of ways that could do that. Obviously, the natural language processing is there, but together AI can handle complex tasks traditionally performed by humans and many of you, and that's obviously a labor cost. And now that we have a shortage of at least 350,000 people, you guys need help. So let's talk about now how AI can help you. Before that, we do have the ability for continuing education for CPAs and enrolled, since we're talking a lot about the way to use these tools or tax research, so you can also get tax credit. But Rebekah, if you could go away or handle this first slide.
Yes, of course. So what is artificial intelligence or AI? Option A, a simulation of human intelligence in machines that are programmed to think like humans. B, the latest IRS form. C, another search engine like Google. Or D, a type of computer virus that spreads intelligent malware. And we'll give you just a moment to answer that.
Yeah, it's I know some people like to have 20 seconds on these slides, but we'll kind of go through this pretty quickly. So a simulation of human intelligence in machines that are programmed to think like humans. So I'll give you a few more seconds, but please mark that down if you're doing this for continuing education, and we'll move on to the next slide. All right, so this is a concept I think is really important, and I hinted about it with the AI agents and some other extraction tools, but there's what I call co-pilot AI tools versus autopilot. So what is a co-pilot tool? This is a type of AI that works under the direction of human input. We call this human in the loop a lot, right? So requiring specific prompts or questions to perform tasks. It's collaborative, augmenting human expertise rather than replacing it. So we gave an example here. In tax research, a professional might ask the AI to investigate specific tax law changes affecting small businesses in 2024. The AI requires this prompt to start its research, relying on human guidance to navigate the task. So you're going to give it what tone you want, who your target audience is, what do you want to include in the results. So you as a human are co-piloting the interaction versus an autopilot is something that is literally trained to do specific use cases on preset algorithms and criteria without the need for human interaction. So upon receiving client documents, and this is just an example, through a portal, AI automatically scans, categorizes, and summarizes the information, organizes documents by type and relevance, streamlining the initial stages of tax preparation without human oversight. So that is an example of an autopilot, right? And it's really, how much human involvement is that? So each one of these can make you more efficient. If you're trying to do tax research with the old tools or traditional tools, it's going to take you a hell of a lot longer than you would while using AI. And if you're now manually organizing client documents, think of the perfect use case here is a client takes a picture of a tax form. You don't know what it is, right? And how do you extract the data? And is it you're going to have to rekey it? There's a lot of different things. So AI can scan that document. It can tell you this is a 1099. Here is the information, so and it makes it so it's in a database form that you can use in other tools. So it's really important just to understand this side. I'm going to give you now some use cases in tax and accounting. The good news is we're going to have a live prompt writing session in this presentation here at the end. I have, I don't know, 10 plus different opportunities, but I'm just going to try now to talk about what are some things you can do. So automating repetitive tasks, how does this help you? Well, if you can simplify daily operations, taking these repetitive tasks, freeing up you as a human to work on consulting and chargeable things. I think that's important. Data entry, it can process and input data from various sources into accounting software, bill.com, things like that, reducing errors, keys, fat fingers kind of thing, and saving countless hours of manual entry. It can organize transactions based on type, obviously a big deal. Another benefit is by automating these tasks, AI not only increases operational efficiency, but also allows professionals to allocate their time to more valuable advisory roles and client interactions. And that's where you make more money, right? So you're short of staff, you're trying to, some people are using labor overseas. Some people are trying to, put together seasonal workers. If you're using AI as another assistant or as an army of assistants, and you look at all of your processes, you're going to have a lot of ways to really improve your efficiency. So the other thing that people don't think about is enhancing accuracy. You're going to reduce human error. You're going to get real-time learning. If you're using tools like our TaxBuzz AI, you're able to use human verified content. So content that has been trained on the tax code and provides context to any of the natural language models to provide much higher degrees of certainty. So it's not an 8-month-old database. It's a database trained in real time, right? And what is the impact on your professional work? If your tools, let me go back here. So if you're able to use AI to do things faster, you're probably going to be able to do advice and strategies that you could not do in the past. You didn't have enough time. So maybe a lot of these tax prep clients that you were just seeing one time a year, if you integrate AI into your practice, you can now add a pretty cost-effective tax planning side to it, and you can let AI do personalized tax planning. So some of the AI agents we're working on, one of them is the tax planning report. We have a workflow set up where you send out an intake form, you receive the input, the AI is going to take the context and what that data, what those variables were from your client, and create a detailed report and an action plan. And then you, as a human in the loop, will review it. You can charge for these reports. You can make it as a lead source, but it's really going to make you kind of like superhuman. You're going to be more reliable. You're going to be more error-free. And I think it's going to really strengthen your relationships and your firm reputation. Disclaimer, AI is not perfect. The prompts aren't perfect. And like humans, it can make mistakes or misread your instructions. So just use it as a tool. Even your staff isn't perfect, right? Do you not double check some of what your staff is doing? So always check the outputs before putting your name behind it. But the reality is the accuracy we have is in the high 90s. Every once in a while, it might find a 2022 data point versus a 2023, those kind of things. But it's very rare that it's way off base. So definitely something to think about. But it is much better than not doing any of this at all, right? Real-time financial insights, so instantaneous analysis. And I'll give you an example. We're working on it. We're not there yet, but we do have kind of a real-time tax harvesting tool. So it will be subscription-based where you can plug in your client's custodian account. So they're working with an RIA. You can collaborate together, hook up, let's say, their Schwab or Fidelity or Morgan Stanley account, and the AI tool will actually go through and recommend where the tax harvesting opportunities are. It knows the wash sale rules. You can even feed it the RIA's views on the economy and their investment strategies, and it's real time. So every day, if you wanted, you could have a dashboard that says these 3 clients have these tax harvesting opportunities. Share that with the IRA. And now you can make real-time financial insights versus, tax harvesting, we only do at the year end. Well, why is that? I mean, an MIT study said that you can get a 1% higher alpha return, so 1% higher return. So if you think of that over time value of money, that's a big deal, right? So if you could add that to your quiver, so to speak, I think that's a big deal. So that's the instantaneous analysis, continuing monitoring, the same kind of thing. It can look at data in real time, dynamic adaptation, again, real-time learning, and then value proposition. So the ability to update, to have up-to-date financial analysis empowers you to be more proactive in your guidance. So there's a lot of different things here. I think those are good examples, and hopefully you understand where I'm coming from. All right, so now let's talk about some of the case studies, and then we're going to get into the actual prompt writing. What is a good prompt? What's a bad prompt? So case study one, streamlining tax research with AI. We have found, so we have a tax forum, a human-supported tax forum at CountyWorks. We have around 1,000 plus subscribers to that. We were using our TaxBuzz AI tool to do a lot of the responses, or at least the initial drafts, and it was unbelievably accurate. So absolutely, it works for tax research. So a challenge, a mid-sized accounting firm was spending significant time and resources on tax research projects for clients. The process included manually sifting through complex tax laws, regulations, and court rulings to provide accurate advice and guidance. Guess what? The firm implemented an AI-powered tax research tool, TaxBuzz AI, equipped with natural language processing capabilities. And this tool now can quickly analyze all of this tax research, tax court cases, you name it, IRS pubs, and that can provide actionable insights in real time. So where is this? Obviously, you have time savings, staff, right? We think easily cut 50%. It's much more than that. Accuracy, it's able to look at huge amounts of data, and very quickly. This is very time consuming, obviously, in the old way. And then we look at it as the client satisfaction, right? So you're able to turn things and perhaps offer more advice than you were previously because AI is assisting you in doing this. So real big advantage here in tax research. Automating document management with AI. A small tax prep firm was struggling to manage the influx of client documents. There's, missing information. How do I organize them? How do I sort them? This firm used an AI-powered tool that would then scan the documents, extract data. What does this do? It makes you more efficient. Again, it's going to be more accurate. It's going to be able to put documents, you're not going to lose them, hopefully, and it's scalable. So if you have an AI tool that's automating document management, you're going to be able to handle many more clients, right? And, if you're cutting down, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours in client onboarding and chasing documents, that is a much more productive firm. Which leads us to our next question. Rebekah, if you can jump in.
Yes. So when selecting an AI tool for your practice, what is an important factor to consider? A, the color scheme of the AI tool's interface. B, the tool's ability to provide accurate outputs. C, the number of social media followers the AI tool has. Or D, the geographical location where the AI tool was developed.
I know you're going to go straight to the color scheme, so we're not going to let Rebekah answer this one. We're going to give you some time, but it is B, the tool's ability to provide accurate outputs. Again, B for our question number 2. Again, if you're getting CPE credit, please mark this down, and I'll give you a little bit more time, and we're going to keep going forward. All right, so time savings with AI. We've kind of talked about a lot of these elements. I'm going to kind of rush through these screens. I know sometimes the feedback on this particular presentation is I talk too quickly. I do apologize, but in order to get to the real-time prompting, this would be way too long of a presentation. So I'll roll through these slides fairly quickly. So quantifying efficiency gains, data entry, document management, things we talked about, research, client communication. Just use it in client communication, meaning you use AI to reply to each client's query and at least gets you 80, 90% of the way there. It's just, you're going to be such more efficient. And I think you're going to see also the quality of the responses is much more than what you would put into it. So I'll continue through. Now we're getting into the fun stuff. So mastering prompt writing. Don't be afraid of writing a prompt, and getting to become a master just takes a little time. I still believe, Rebekah, that when I free flow and stop worrying about like, oh, I'm supposed to do it this way because I saw this in a webinar, I seem to get better better outputs. I don't know if you would agree with that.
I do. I often tell our clients to talk to it like they would a person. Like just write out exactly what you would say if you were talking to someone and asking them to do a task for you. It will respond. And over time, particularly with machine learning models that come to understand the outputs that you personally want, it will get better and better. So I think another piece of this is to not get discouraged and stop using it. If your initial outputs aren't what you want, keep asking questions, give it more detail, talk to it in a more natural way, and you will get to where you want to be.
Yeah, and I think at that point, it's like the aha moment of like, oh my God, I cannot believe I've been working this long without it. So one of the main things I think is contextual understanding. And what I mean by that is you need to make sure that within the prompts, you're letting AI in natural language better comprehend the intent behind your inquiry. So, don't say 529 plan. You give much more detail of what you're actually trying to do. Write me a letter for my client, Lee Reams, that explains how a 529 plan could be effective in saving for their children's college educations. My client is a business owner and blah, blah. So if you give it more context, it's going to personalize the response much better. And then I gave an example here. Instead of asking tax information, please, and trust me, that's what some people use these prompts. So say, retrieve the latest tax rates for small businesses in X, right? That is much more context. So the AI will get you a much better answer. It will understand your intent and where you're going. So be clear and specific. And it also is iterative. And what we mean by that is the AI is going to get feedback. This is good, this is bad. We even have a human review assurance in ours. So you can actually hit assurance review, and one of our tax experts will look at it. But what this does is it just improves the tool over time, right? So if you master the art of prompt writing, you're going to be much more effective using AI. So tips for effective prompts: be clear and specific, use natural language, provide context. And that context is a tone, an audience, a year, what the purpose is, what do you want it included? I want lists, things like that. Ask direct questions. Utilize keywords. So make sure the more it's garbage in, garbage out kind of thing. So the more context you give things, the better outputs. Iterate and refine. So if you don't get exactly what you want, tell the tool what it missed. You know what? Oh, this is pretty good, but you missed this. I wanted to cover restaurant owners' toughest startup tasks, right? And then can you include that in your response? Stay patient. I know busy pros sometimes oh, this didn't work because they use kind of a weak prompt to start, and then they just say, it doesn't work. And the reality is, I know it works. Even, Lee Reams Sr., who's been in the industry forever, he uses AI daily to do all kinds of things. So it's made him incredibly efficient. He's kind of like an army. So we've basically cloned Lee Reams Sr. into 10 and 20 outputs. So it's awesome. So if he can learn it, anybody can, is kind of the way I look at this. Seek clarification if needed, ask additional information, and then collaborate with colleagues, other partners, other staff. How are you doing this? What kind of responses are you getting? And I think once you'll find is you'll get more and more seasoned to get better outputs. So here's our good versus bad. I don't like using these words, but we said, let's just do this. Good and bad. Bad, tax deductions. Good, retrieve the latest IRS guidelines for small business tax deductions in a year, right? Bad, tax law. Good, summarize the key changes in the recent tax reform bill affecting corporate tax rates. If you're using a tool like TaxBuzz AI, we train it in basically real time. We're training it daily. So if a new tax proposal comes up, we're going to upload that PDF into the knowledge base. And when you ask a question about it, it will find it for context and be able to elaborate that and make your life really easy, right? Financials, analyze the financial statements for trends and revenue growth over the past 3 years. Reduce small business taxes, identify potential tax saving opportunities for a small business owner with annual revenue exceeding 500. So you kind of following where we're going here. So be clear, specific, and provide context. Is this kind of how you explain it to Rebekah as well? Is there anything you want to add to this part?
I think this is really good. I think, these are great prompts. You can even go more detailed depending on the project. As you'll see in a little bit, we're going to do some live prompts. We'll maybe even add a little more detail. But like we've said over and over, the more detail you give it, the more context you give AI, the better your output is going to be.
Absolutely. All right. So we're cruising on. We're almost to the live prompting section, which is what is the most popular. Rebekah, another housekeeping item in a slide.
Yes. All right. So this question is, why is being patient important for professionals when learning to use AI and asking prompts? A, you don't want AI to get mad at you. B, asking confusing questions gets the best results. C, AI has limited application in the field of taxation and accounting, making patience irrelevant. Or D, because mastering AI tools and effectively formulating prompts is a gradual process that improves with practice and understanding.
I go straight to the getting mad. And I'm sure it happens, but obviously this one is D. We'll give you a few more moments before we move on to more exciting stuff here. So D. All right, so this leads us to the live demo section. So think of this as somewhat of a like watching a baseball game and having a commentator basically the baseball game. The commentator, which is me, is also the batter and the pitcher and everything else. So have a little patience with us as we do these. I'm kind of trying to do them live. Cutting and pasting from some questions that I've already put together, but this will give you a really good understanding of how to write prompts, what the outputs are, and then obviously show off a tool like TaxBuzz AI. So give me a second here. I'm going to go pull up my screen, and we're going to go ahead and start with the live prompting. All right, so I have this. So this is TaxBuzz AI. On the left side, I'll just give you real quick. Left side is where all your history is. You are allowed to purge and delete different conversations. You do have the ability to upload files. You can have it read URLs. We also have a prompt library of kind of pre-populated prompts. You can ask it what common use cases are. Actually, let's just do this real quick. So what are some of the most common use cases for tax and accounting pros to get help from TaxBuzz AI? And it's just going to reiterate what we've been talking about in our slides already, but you can see how quickly it can analyze a question and how smart it is, right? And it gives references. So this is a lot of content that we have in our library. So that's just a real quick way to utilize the tool. And then you can request an assurance check here in the top right. And at this point, we'll have a human review whatever is in there. So let's start now with a marketing related prompt. So, hi, can you create a Facebook content calendar for the next month, including image suggestions for a tax accounting firm that specializes in working with high-end restaurant owners? So context, who is it for? High-end restaurant owners. Who am I writing this? So this is more who's the target. I guess who is this for is a tax and accounting firm. You can put your information here. What do I want it to do? I want to create content calendar for the next month. So when, and then adding some more detail, including image suggestions. So we've really given it a lot of context here in a very just one sentence, right? So absolutely, here's a suggested Facebook calendar. So Rebekah, when you're working with a tool like this, kind of explain, why you do this and how to get the best results.
So I always make sure to have all of those components that you just mentioned, Lee. So I always give it, who am I writing it, whether I'm ghostwriting for a client or for our firm or doing something for myself. I make sure it knows who I am, who the client is effectively for the AI system, who my audience is, what specifically I want. So in this case, a Facebook content calendar, as opposed to say one for Instagram or one for LinkedIn, because it will give different results based on which social media platform you specify. And then also, I like to add that little bit of extra detail. In this case, give me an image suggestion to go with it. You could say other things like provide trending hashtags, things of that nature. Whatever you put into this needs to be specific. So I think maybe that's the core of it. Specificity is key. The more general you are, the more general your output's going to be. So by doing things like specifying that you want image suggestions or hashtag suggestions or which social media platform you're going to be working on, you're going to get better results. And another thing I wanted to mention is that for each of these, for example, where I think on the very first one, it said something about a carousel of 5 images. So share a carousel post with a tip on each separate slide. You could copy paste that back into the system and say, okay, great, thank you. Can you please give me the 5 tips?
Yeah, and that's how you get more detail. And then, as we've said, it's an iterative process. And that's just a perfect example. So, okay, great. I agree with this. On the Monday, week 1, I saw you mention carousel posts. Can you provide additional detail on the slides? And it would do that. All right, so I'm going to move along and just do another use case here. Hi, I'm introducing a new virtual CFO package. I want to inform my existing tax and accounting clients, right? Can you put together an engaging email that will make them want to schedule an appointment to learn more about my new offering? So this is basically the call to action. You want it to be persuasive. This is a basic prompt. So you can really go from here. We don't want to go too detailed because we just want to kind of show you the basics to start. But you'll kind of get an idea. And again, how quick our tool is, right? So here's a sample email. If we had put the client's name in, it would have done all this, but and if your firm information was there, it would have done that as well. But what is a virtual CFO package? What are the key benefits? Why choose our package? Ready to learn more. If we had put pricing in, it would have given some pricing, a call to action, schedule your appointment now. Rebekah, you're training our clients to start utilizing this for all sorts of outgoing marketing packages. What other things do you like to add to get better results?
So you just mentioned several of them. Input your firm name. The client's name, usually it will do as variable data because obviously that's going to change email to email. But you could also input things like your specific services. So let's say you have 3 packages of your virtual CFO subscription. Each of them come at a different price point and include different service offerings. Put that in. Then it can break down. If you are this type of a client, you may want package A, package B, package C, and it'll already have all of that information to play off of. So just again, coming back to giving it as much information as you can within reason, to allow this to craft something that's truly personalized to your firm.
Yeah, and this is just a generic starting point. So we did real basics. So everything Rebekah just added is how now you can make these truly personalized per client if you get down to it. So, all right, let's go to another one. TikTok is very popular. It's actually becoming a search engine. So we just put together a prompt here. I want to start using TikTok to promote my practice. Can you write 3 scripts with tax tips that will appeal to millennials and Gen Z? So again, who is the target audience? What do I want? I want 3 scripts. What tax tips? I'm using it for TikTok. So we're trying to do the basic prompts for you here. But once you see these, I think you can understand how this functions. But this even has little emojis for you. But go ahead, Rebekah, and kind of explain this one.
Yeah, so again, this is basic. We just want to show you guys what this tool can do. But if you were to go in here and say, I currently have this many followers, I'm trying to reach people who are interested in personal finance and in buying a home and in the gig economy, for instance, it could tailor these even more. But here you're going to see that it's giving you pretty solid information. You obviously don't have to use these directly, but they are certainly jumping off points, giving you ideas for props to use, where you should be sitting, everything like that. So it's really going to kind of jumpstart your creativity. And that's another thing I tell our clients often is that this truly is a tool to just spark your own creativity as well. It's a companion. It's not meant to replace you in any way. It's not meant to take what you do and replace that. But what it's going to do is help you to be even better at your job. So if you're not comfortable with social media, seeing these scripts can be like, oh, okay. And that light bulb goes off. And then all of a sudden, maybe you have ideas for 10 or 12 more tax tips. And you could put those specific ideas into the AI system and it could spit out scripts that are even more niched down that really go to what you are trying to do in the audience that you're trying to reach.
And this is a perfect example of where iteration would be needed. So we don't want to talk to people about DIY work, right? So we would then give it more like a follow-up prompt that says, hey, I'm not giving tips on DIY or how to use tax software. I don't think they should use tax software. I think they should use me and my expertise. And that's where a good follow-up would be. So now let's go into kind of another use case. I even put here, so replying to a client email about tax deductions, here's a client email. So a client hits you up in chat or text or in your portal. Hey, I've been working from home this year. I'm wondering if I can claim any deductions. What would be a prompt? Our tool actually you can do like an auto rewrite and reply. We have a Chrome extension that we're launching that would follow you around. So anywhere you're using a Chrome browser, any text box, it would actually be able to, it would just pop up. The TaxBuzz AI would pop up and be able to do, write a response directly to that client. So I put a little more detail in here, but, it's just going to, again, show you how quickly AI can go through things, analyze it, give you different use cases, important considerations in drafting letters for you. So there's another use case. We've talked about tax research. I'm going to do a real basic one here. Conduct tax research on new tax legislation. This could be something that is passed or not passed, but let's just put something in here real quick. This is where it will be grabbing from the knowledge base. So if you're using a generic chatbot that is not trained on some of the latest information, here's the current law, here's the proposed changes. So this is the proposed legislation. It's going to be able to come in and do conclusions, kind of talk about different things. And you could give it more details here as well to kind of fine tune it exactly where you're going. But again, I'm just trying to give you some use cases for a simple tax research question. You could even ask it if you had a tax court case, for example, you could upload it directly using the little paperclip here and actually ask questions directly to that tax court case. But I'm going to continue on here. I have another use case, a tax planning strategy for a new client. This is really, really basic. We're going to show you in a second later how you can actually upload a tax return and do this. But I'm just trying to, again, show you the capabilities. Use the financial data, create a tax plan for freelance graphic designer, focusing on deduction, savings, and investment opportunities. Again, this is real basic. So the more context you have, the better the outputs are going to be, the more detailed outputs. But we're just going to throw in here, a real quick, what's the client's overview? How can they maximize deductions, business expenses, health insurance, self-employment deductions, optimize savings, investment opportunities, tax planning and compliance, additional considerations. And this is just the first draft. Do you want more detail? Do you want it to expand section 4 more? Those are kind of the follow-ups that you could do. So that's how I would take it to kind of another level. But there's, again, another sample use case and prompt. We're going to continue on. I'm just going to do one here now for summarize an income statement for client review. I just have some basics here. Lay it in layman's terms. I am going to upload a document. I'm just going to show you that later, a financial statement. But again, here's just another super quick, hey, here's some analysis of your financial statement, real basic terms. This is more of like business accounting terms, right? What is the financial health indicators? Are you doing well? A 60% growth margin means that every dollar revenue, 60 cents is retained. Operating margins, net profit margins, and so on. So your business is showing strong financial health with a solid gross profit margin. So I'm just, again, trying to show you use cases. These are really simple, but I think you're getting an idea. So let's pivot a little bit to what I'm going to call practice management-like prompts. This one's going to be an engagement letter. You can do these personalized per every client. So with CountingWorks Pro on our platform, you could have this tool built in. You could write a customized engagement letter for every single client and get them to e-sign it through our platform. So how long did that take me? I took 2 prompts. What was that? 3 or 4 seconds. And now it is creating your engagement letter. This could be for a restaurant owner. This could be for a dentist. This could be for a lawyer. You could put in your fees. You can do whatever. Client responsibilities, confidentiality. We have built and trained our system with all the different sorts of engagement letters as samples, but you could put in your own engagement letter and now use that as a template to create customizable ones. So you can get as granular as you like, but again, this is another use case. Think about all the time that you're saving in drafting engagement letters now. And then if you're using a tool like CountingWorks Pro, it's not only going to draft the engagement letter, but you can do the e-sign directly through the tool as well. So real quick here, another use case, respond to a client query about investment loss deductions. The client said, hey, I sold some stock this year at a loss. Can I deduct these losses on my tax return? How does that work? What do you want it to do? The prompt, hey, draft a response to my client's question about deducting losses on tax returns, explaining the process and the limits. And in moments, now you're creating and drafting a letter or response to your client, right? So, you can see again how efficient you're going to be in utilizing AI tools. I'm going to do a couple more here, and then I'm going to upload some PDF files just so you can see it in action. So advise a client on charitable donation deductions, a client scenario. Here, let me just do this one. This is another use case. The client plans to donate $5,000 to charity, wants to understand how it affects their taxes. Please provide advice. And it's going to write and draft the letter for you. It's going to talk about charitable donations. What are they? Itemized deductions. It pulled the 2023, the standard deduction for that year. Ensure that you're donating to a qualified organization because a lot of times people claim they're charities and they're not. And then documentation, the impact of a $5,000 donation, example calculation, an additional concern. So again, another use case, really easy for you to figure out. So I'm going to go back into what I call more practice management side. So we use it to create intake forms. We're big in intake forms. Intake forms will organize your clients and have them take the time to answer questions that you could do during a live interview. But if you have these questions answered ahead of time, you're going to be much more efficient. On this one, we just wanted to say, hey, develop an end-of-year tax prep checklist for clients, including documents to gather. So this is more like building out processes. We talked about brainstorming. We talked about being more efficient with your tool. You can train your staff with this. You can come up with different ideas on how to do things. But here is a client checklist, and you could create an outbound marketing piece out of this. You could create an intake form. There's a bunch of things, but I'm just going to try to show you to think outside the box on how to utilize some of these tools. All right, so now we're going to upload a document. Let's upload a tax return. Let's see here. Where did we put this? A sample tax return. I'm going to upload this tax return. And then we're going to ask a prompt off of it. So we wanted to extract client data from this return and create a tax plan as if this client's income fluctuates 20 to 50% higher next year. I want to provide my client with a detailed report and analysis with suggested options to reduce their tax liability. This will take a little bit longer because we are now scanning the tax return and the data throughout it. And then obviously we're going to take that then as context to follow with your intent and some of the context you put in here, but it's still pretty quick. So it extracted data. This is not real data, so don't worry about it. You can also delete these when you're done, delete the tax return. We're also developing some purge tools. But here's the income profile. What happens now if they increase? What does that mean to their total projected income? A 50% increase. What are some different tax planning strategies they can use? What does that mean in taxable income, standard deduction, things like that? So there's a lot of different ways that this client now, if they did have an increase in income, can help minimize their taxes. So that's one use case. I'm going to go in here and create a new chat because I'm going to put in a financial statement now, and we want it to only pull data from the financial statement. So I'm going to go ahead and upload. This is, again, a big file, and we're going to ask it to, let me hit upload. And we're now going to say, can you analyze the following financial statement? Can you extract the details, including client name, provide feedback on the results, and provide any suggestions for improvement? Again, this takes a little bit longer because it is going in and scanning. We've put in here, like the full tax laws, tax bills, and you could, hey, can you analyze this tax bill and how it would affect my individual clients? or, and so there's a lot of different ways to do it. But anyways, this is Apple Inc. This is their financial statement. It went and extracted the data from the financial statements, the net sales, cost of sales, gross margins, net income, total assets, liabilities, shareholder equity, and then back to the revenue analysis. There's a slight decline. I'm sure they're going to do fine. Need to investigate the factors contributing, such as market conditions, cost management, profitability, decrease, and not, so it gives some different. I would love to have this balance sheet. When you suggestions for growth, explore new markets and product lines. Well, I think they've been doing that. Enhance marketing efforts to boost sales, cost optimization. So you get a general idea of how this would work in analyzing a financial statement. Again, the use cases are never ending. You can start personalizing this per client, per industry. You can write proposals through here. You can do those intake forms. You could write a WISP policy. Write my practice. This one would be long, but we have trained it on what a WISP is. I'm not going to show the whole results here. We made this because it pulled off of Apple, but it's going to do it for Apple. But it is capable of doing all kinds of things for compliance that you're currently now doing through, I would guess, expensive ways, or being charged for it. But you can update them. You can make it really valuable to your practice. So I hope these prompts have been educational. Rebekah, have I missed anything? Do you think I've covered these use cases fairly well?
I think you definitely have. This is a really good overview of everything that it can do, and it can really do anything that you need it to do for your practice. Just as long as you're willing to spend some time getting to know it and learn and understand how to write the prompts. And I think we've given you some really great starting points here today.
Awesome. So let's go back and finish up this presentation. I'm going to go off of the live side of this right now, and a lot of fun doing a live play-by-play, but I hope this was educational. All right, so let's continue with the presentation. I'm going to do a recap and some key takeaways. Embracing AI in tax and accounting. So collaboration over competition. I think it's really important to understand that AI is a tool that's going to free up more of your time. You're going to be more efficient. Don't look at it as a threat. And the reality is it's here. So, you can't really ignore it. And the firms that are utilizing it are going to outcompete you if you're not. They're going to be more efficient, and they're going to be providing, I think, better outputs for their clients, right? So collaboration over competition, efficiency gains, obviously automating routine tasks can save you hours per day. Economic advantages. There's a lot of different ways to monetize this with our AI agents that we're doing, incorporating different reports or analysis that you couldn't do before, adding something like tax harvesting to a tax planning package. These are things that give you economic advantage, and knowledge empowerment. I think you're going to be able to learn a hell of a lot more by utilizing the tool. So it's going to make it easier for you to work smarter and not harder, okay? So AI is transforming the tax accounting industry. I'm hoping after this presentation, you're starting to buy in on how this can help your firm, basically. So, how do we, as CountingWorks Pro and TaxBuzz, work? So let's try not to confuse people too much, but TaxBuzz AI is our model. We use that to train it with all of our knowledge base. So literally, we've written thousands and thousands of articles about the tax code, accounting, cash flow, IRS tax problems, you name it. We have trained all that data, or loaded all that data into our ecosystem, basically. In addition, we have hundreds and hundreds of CPE courses that we've developed over the years that we have trained as well. And it's basically the brain. So we sell our AI tools in two ways: a la carte through taxbuzz.com, where you can access just basically the natural language prompting. And then we've integrated it into CountingWorksPro.com, which is our marketing automation and practice management system. And that is where you can start extracting data from your client uploads. You can reply to clients via the client portal. You can write blog articles, you name it, you can do it. So it makes you much more efficient. So what does it do? One, it's efficiency at your fingertips. It's going to enhance your accuracy. Obviously, you can tailor insights per client and or per client segment, so different niches. Our platform is secure and confidential. We basically wall each client. Their data is their data. Their client data is their data. We are not training our model on it and or using it. And then we have continuous learning. So we have a loop, a learning loop where we get feedback. Hey, was the AI off here? You know, recently we had some issues with reading really long PDF files or certain types of PDF files. We're constantly improving it. We're adding some new tools for personalization and then even like template-based tools. So it's going to become more and more valuable. And then obviously our Chrome extension will allow you to use TaxBuzz AI anywhere that you're using a Chrome browser. So it's super powerful. So hopefully this next question, Rebekah, which you can go through here, we already put it here, but go ahead. This is what we're hoping you guys find this valuable and you want to learn more.
All right, so exciting. I want to learn how TaxBuzz AI can save me thousands of hours per year. A, yes, or B, no. I
And
feel
this
like
is the final. Yeah, this is the
obvious
final one. Yeah, we try not to be very salesy in these webinars, and I hope that you felt this was very educational. But there's definitely an advantage that we've created. We think we have a phenomenal tool. So if you are interested, there's two ways to work with us. One is you can go to taxbuzz.com. There is a free account. You can download the Chrome plugin. If you have a Gmail account, you can already set it up and use TaxBuzz AI for free. We give you a bunch of tokens. If you want to look at the paid subscriptions, just go to the pricing page. You can sign up. It's really cost effective. And you can sign up yourself or even your entire staff. We've had even financial advisors, firms like Northwestern and some big fish who are using it for financial planning and tax planning for their agents. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. You will see, I hope the modeling I just showed you the speed and accuracy. In addition, we have a network of professionals that are training it. So if you're part of TaxBuzz, you can actually write articles and content and publish them to taxbuzz.com. We use that as context to help train our model. So let's say you're a expat tax pro in Israel, for example. You could write articles, or Hungary or wherever, but you could write articles about those tax topics, and anyone who's querying now will reference your information. So it's a great way to network. And also there's some SEO benefits from it, but you may even get some business from it. So it's really cool. So you can go to taxbuzz.com or you can go to accountingworkspro.com and reach out and schedule a demo, and you'll see how we've integrated all of these AI capabilities into our marketing and practice management system. So think engagement letters, think proposal tools, think intake forms, think about your website, your blog, your client newsletter, branding yourself, niching down, writing copy. All of that is done through our AccountingWorks Pro platform. So hopefully we've convinced you that you're ready to revolutionize your workflow. So visit either taxbuzz.com or accountingworkspro.com. I am available and Rebekah are available on LinkedIn. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us about this presentation. Again, we hope this has been valuable and you got a lot out of this, and we'll hope to see you as a subscriber soon. Rebekah, any closing thoughts?
Nope, I think you wrapped everything up perfectly.
Perfect. Everyone have a good day. Thank you.